The concept of the Jezebel Spirit is rooted in the biblical story of Queen Jezebel, where it has evolved into a somewhat loaded term, usually used to describe a manipulative or evil woman. There are a variety of interpretations as to what constitutes a Jezebel spirit, with some determining it can relate to the slyness of a woman or the cunning of a woman, or anything between her teaching of false doctrine or indulging in debaucherous sexual activity. Whilst the term Jezebel Spirit never appears in the Bible certainly has a lot to say about Jezebel herself. In today's episode, we'll be looking at where the term Jezebel Spirit may have come from, what it means in terms of characteristics, and whether it represents something more profound, perhaps something of a spiritual archetype. We first see the appearance of Jezebel, daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, in the first book of Kings, where the wicked king Ahab marries her so that she may assist in leading Israel into the worship of the pagan deity Baal. It isn't until chapter 18, however, do we see Jezebel commit her first act of wickedness, by condemning all of the prophets of the Lord to death, effectively silencing anyone who wasn't promoting Baal. We later see her wickedness in chapter 21 of the Book of Kings, where we learn that her husband, King Ahab, wished to purchase a vineyard from Naboth, the Jezreelite. Naboth, however, refused to sell it to the king, as deep down, he believed he would be going against the Lord in allowing Ahab to have it. This led to Ahab becoming deflated, and whilst he was sulking about not being able to obtain the vineyard, Jezebel had other ideas. Instead of taking no for an answer, like her husband had done, Jezebel orchestrated false charges against Naboth, which would not only see to his execution, but also the acquisition of the vineyard by Ahab. Like many characters in the Bible though, Jezebel also got her just desserts. She met her fate when taunting Elijah, arguably her arch-nemesis, and the only one bold enough during that time to stand up to her, whereby she was thrown from a window and subsequently trampled by a horse. When attempting to recover her body in order to give it a royal burial, the Bible tells us that her body had been consumed by the dogs. In the book of Revelation, the name Jezebel appears once more in conjunction with a false prophetess in the church of Thyatira. Here she is accused of leading believers into sexual immorality and into the worshipping of false idols. Her influence is condemned with a severe warning that if she does not repent, along with her followers, both will meet with grisly consequences. Perhaps not at all unlike the consequences Queen Jezebel met with in the Book of Kings. We are told, "Nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she is unwilling. So I will cast her on a bed of suffering, and I will make those who committed adultery with her suffer intensely, unless they repent of her ways. I will strike her children dead. Then all the churches will know that I am he who searches hearts and minds, and I will repay each of you according to your deeds." As we can see, there are three main incidents that characterize Jezebel, and may allow for a definition as to what is meant by the Jezebel spirit. Put simply, it is a derogatory comparison to one who is acting just as the Jezebels of the Bible, one who is calculative, scheming, controlling, and as the Revelation account tells us, sexually immoral. The first of these incidents comes in her ascension to the throne, where we see her zealousness in banishing the biblical God and replacing him with the likes of Baal. When she is queen, we see her demonstrate a certain relentlessness to not only stamp out the previous worship by murdering the prophets, but to actively replace said worship with altars to Baal. Through this, it can be gathered that one who possesses the Jezebel spirit is one who will stop at nothing to ensure that their way is the only way, even if this means silencing those who would dare speak up against them. She who possesses the Jezebel spirit by this interpretation is not a woman who is remorseful, sentimental, or even remotely respectful, but will bulldoze and devour the traditions set in place if it means establishing her own agenda and enterprise. The second incident surrounds Naboth and how Jezebel effectively takes her husband's power into her own hands. Indeed, as we know, King Ahab was willing to let the vineyard rest with its rightful owner, and though he was sullen about it, he had no intention of stealing it. It's arguable that the thought had not even crossed his mind, which is why he was so defeated. Yet it is Jezebel who, in a rather Lady Macbeth-esque fashion, hatches up the idea, and in some interpretations, ridicules and taunts Ahab over how he is acting. After all, she rather candidly tells him, "Is this how you act as king over Israel? Get up and eat. Cheer up. I'll get you the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite." We see the level of vindictiveness in Jezebel, who not only takes the law into her own hands by having Naboth stoned to death, but also demonstrates her connivingness by having the sons of Naboth stoned to death too. By this, she shows how calculating she is, knowing that had Naboth's sons survived him, they would be entitled to his land, whereas if she killed them too, the property would automatically return to the king. Such a devious strategy to obtain that which she wanted shows us the crux of what represents the Jezebel Spirit, a person who would tread on even the innocent if it meant achieving that which she desired. There are no limits to how far one who possesses the Jezebel Spirit will go, according to this interpretation. They will stop at nothing, not even murder, to get what they want. The third incident when dissecting the Jezebel Spirit requires us to look at the account in Revelation, where the Jezebel at Thyatira is being condemned for her sexual immorality and idol worship. While some interpretations have conflated these two women together, the more common consensus is that this Jezebel at Thyatira was more of an influential woman, not so much a queen, but more of a prophetess, who evidently had some sway over the congregation. In this passage, we learn that whilst this Jezebel isn't as cutthroat as the Queen Jezebel, she is nonetheless capable of inspiring wickedness, luring the flock to worship and eat the food of idols, as well as to practice sexual immorality. This gives us the third component of what makes up the Jezebel Spirit, a woman who works insidiously to achieve what she wants, blinding others to truths in order to convey her own ideals. There's also the suggestion here that this Jezebel is a randy woman, or that she uses her body to exploit others or encourages certain sexual deviancy. With this in mind, those in possession of the Jezebel Spirit may be more prone to adultery, or may even weaponize or utilize sex in order to achieve their own personal plans. Indeed, there are parallels between the two Jezebels, both being able to enact their own agenda without much in the way of opposition or immediate repercussions. Whoever this Jezebel in Revelation is, she, like the Jezebel in the Book of Kings, refused to repent, and as told to us by Jesus here, she too meets an unfortunate end. In any case, both Jezebels contribute to our understanding of what the Jezebel Spirit is, and show us how both characters' dispositions have shaped what is ultimately a pretty bleak insult. Contrary to more modern beliefs, the Jezebel Spirit doesn't appear to be demonic in nature, though I can see why some people may think that simply by the term spirit. Instead, to make it simpler, you might say that the woman in Thyatira was acting in the spirit of Jezebel, and thus Jesus uses the name Jezebel to show us that she had a personality, ethic, or moral standing resembling that of the ill-fated queen. As always guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to leave this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Until next time.